Hi, this is the Teaserking coming to you with the lock of the week for November 9th, 2010. I'd like to just thank everybody for coming to the site and all the customers and anybody who chats with me and asks me questions. Appreciate that. I enjoy to give my advice anytime. Please go to the site www.teaserking.com and look, I post my history so you know what I'm picking. I give my trends, and you can ask me for any trend that you'd like to know about. This week I'm going to give you my locks of the weeks, and this will be for pro football. I have many locks going this week in college and pro. At this point of the season, you tend to get a good tendency on teams, the trades, the new recruits, how the team's progressing, the defense, the idea of the quarterbacks and the coaches, in both college and pro. And so let's go. We're going to go to Philadelphia in the NFL, where Philadelphia is a 3-point favorite over Indianapolis. Absolutely love Indy in this game. I don't know why Philly's favored. You cannot give Peyton Manning in a teaser. You're getting 9 points, 3-9. You can't give Peyton Manning 9 points. I don't know. Philadelphia is a good team, not a great team. There is no great team in pro football, but I don't see how they're favored. I don't see how Indy in 9 is going to lose this game. They're a very strong team. They're very strong as an underdog. Since 2005, Indy is 8-1 as a road dog. They're not a dog often, but when they are, they cover, and it's a challenge, I think, that wakes them up. You know, the times they lose is they're maybe a 6-point favorite at Jacksonville or Houston, teams that are very good defensively with strong running games. Well, that's not Philadelphia. Used to be Philadelphia, but they're not that strong defensively. I remember the Lion game where Philadelphia had a big lead, and the Lions, without Matthew Stafford, almost pulled the game out. They were down by like 17, and they lost, I think, 37-34, 34-31, something like that. I just don't see how Philadelphia will stop Peyton Manning and his attack. So I look for Indy to score. I look for them to win the game, but you're getting 9 points, and that to me is just it's lock number one. I'll give you some trends. Like I said, Indy's 8-1 as a road dog. If you look at Philly, since Philly's strange, they don't really have much trends at home. Since 08, they're 12-4 as a home favorite, 11-5 against them. Since 07, they're 16-7 as a home favorite, 17-6 against. They're kind of inconsistent. They'll win, they'll lose, and there's no real. You bet on them, you bet against them all the time. There's not a real huge home advantage for Philadelphia. They play well there, but it's not like an automatic win. Since 09, Indianapolis is I see they're just 1-1 as a road dog. I mean, they just don't play as a road dog often. If we look at them just on the road, let's go back to 07. On the road, they're 20-5 as a road favorite and 4-1 as a road dog. It puts them 24-6 on the road. That speaks volumes. Overall, since 09, Indy's they're only 19-6. They're not great because they lay down a few weeks, so it's hard to take all the trends into it. But this year, I mean, there's nothing there. They're 2-2 as a road favorite, 3-1 against as a road favorite. So they're a little bit weaker because of the injuries, but I still look for Indy with Peyton. As long as Peyton Manning's there, it's like New England. As long as Tom Brady's there, you can bet New England. As long as Peyton Manning's there, you get Indy as a dog against a team like Philadelphia. It's just you jump on it. So it's not always pure trends, but you got to know the team. They are very good as the dog, and I don't know any team that can really blow them out. I mean, it just isn't going to happen, not when they're the dog. The second game, we're going to go to Oakland, and we're taking Kansas City. The spread was 3. I love Kansas City at 9. It's down to about 1.5 or 2, so you get 8. The dog is the play in this, so if Kansas City ends up being a 2 or 3 point favorite, I would switch to Oakland or not play the game. Just beware. There's a lot of money going on Kansas City now, so I know Gronkowski is out for Oakland, their quarterback. But the play is the underdog, not necessarily Kansas City. A quick look at the trends. This year, Kansas City's 7-0 in a teaser. 4-3 going against them. They're 3-0 as a road dog. Oakland is 7-1 in a teaser and 5-3 against. They're not that strong as a home favorite as you would think. Kansas City in 09 is 9-2 as a road dog, 7-4 against. Oakland, if you go back a few years, let's go back to 07. Oakland is 7-0 if you play against them as a home favorite, and Kansas City's 20-7 as a road dog. So even as bad as Kansas City's been, they're still 20-7 as a road dog. Oakland's a terrible home favorite. Since 07, they're 3-4 with and 7-0 against. And if we go back to 05, Oakland is 12-1 if you play against them when they're a favorite at home. And Kansas City's 27-12, which isn't great, but the trend that sticks out is Oakland being 12-1 if you play against them as a home favorite. Now let's go into my micro approach, which is to basically look at the series. Because they're division teams, I have also series of division matchups. What am I looking for? I'm looking for matchups. How does this team play the other team? Can they score on them? Do they play well as the favorite? Do they play well on the road in this series? Because in the pros they play each other twice a year in the same division. The trends are very, very helpful. Here's a huge trend on this game. Since 05 in Oakland, Kansas City's 5-0, the dog's 5-0. In the series, the dog is 10-0. So if you played the dog since 05, you won every time. Let's go back to 2000. So this is 2000 to 2009. The game in Oakland, Kansas City's 8-2 and the dog's 8-2. KC's 6-2 is the dog, and the dog is 18-2 in the series. So if this game switches to KC laying 2 or 3, you take Oakland plus the 9. Right now, I love Kansas City plus the 9, and it's really, I would get my bet in now, and then if Kansas City jumps to the favorite, you can kind of middle it and tease Oakland plus 7 or 8 and put them with Indy and play them both if the spread moves. But right now, I would play Kansas City getting 7.5, 8 points. Gronkowski's out. Kansas City is very good. So that's the micro look at it. Kansas City doesn't have any major industry injuries. The running back from Ole Miss is banged up a little. He might not play, but I think it's their schemes, and as long as Matt Castle's playing, I think that's fine. I just wanted to point out a few strange things happening this year. The reason my percentage is down in the pros a little bit is my theory on betting the pros has always been you take the strong team, the Steelers, you take the Colts, you take New England, and you bet them against the weak teams. And then you take the weak teams and you play against them, the Lions, the Chiefs, the Raiders. Well, what's happening this year is an anomaly. There is no real strong team, and there is no real weak team. The real weak teams are covering, and the real strong teams are not. Take a look at New Orleans. They win the Super Bowl, they lose at Arizona, and then they go ahead and they pound Pittsburgh. Go figure that team out. Before, New Orleans would have handled Arizona, they would have beaten Pittsburgh, they would handle their time, and that's not what's happening this year. Here's some trends that just blow my mind. When you look at the teams that are good against the teaser, Detroit is 7-0, Green Bay 7-1, St. Louis is 7-1, Pittsburgh is 6-1, New England 6-1, which is good, Oakland 7-1, and Kansas City 7-0. So the teams you would play against, Kansas City, Oakland, the Lions, and the Rams, who I've been betting against for the last 2-3 years, it's an automatic, who are they playing, are now 7-0, 7-1, 6-1 versus the teaser, versus the number. Conversely, going against, here's what's happening. Minnesota, go against them, 7-0. San Francisco, 8-0. Carolina 6-1. New Orleans 6-2. They were 6-1 until they got that late cover on Pitt. Dallas 6-1. Arizona 6-1. Baltimore 6-1. Cleveland 6-1. Buffalo 6-1. Houston 6-1. So what you have are teams that, I mean, Minnesota's always great against the spread. Frisco was absolutely on a tear the last few years. Dallas, Arizona was good. Now, granted, that was Kurt Warner. And here's where I make my adjustments. Now that we're 6, 7, 8 weeks into the season, I can now look at the last. This year, I can put it with 09, and I can say, okay, how are the last 25 games going? Who's changing the trends? So if you look at the last 25, you know, Minnesota's 20-4, and you got, you know, Pitt 17-5, New England 18-5 like usual, Indy's 19-6. The Jets are 20-5, and Kansas City 17-5. So you basically have some new teams that are up there. Where's New Orleans? They're not even 75%. If the team isn't 75%, I don't even like to talk about them. But when you look at the against, you still have the Lions 19-3 against. Even though they're 7-0 this year, they're still, you can bet them both ways. Washington's 18-5 against. Pittsburgh's 18-4 against, but that trend was much higher. They've been covering, so be careful there. Cleveland 18-5 against. Miami 17-5 against. And that's it. So basically, you have kind of a mishmash. You don't have that New England or Indy who's like 20-2. San Diego, when Marty Schottenheimer was there, was like 24-2. It was beautiful. New Orleans, the last few years, have been like 20-3. They've been very good, but they're cooling down. The spread adjust. You've got different teams that aren't as weak. This is where I make my adjustments. Some key. I'm going to go through a few teams with some key notes here. Where do you play the team? Well, Minnesota's 11-1 is a home favorite, and guess what? They're home laying 8 to Arizona this week. I'm taking Minnesota laying the 2. Arizona's terrible. They're terrible on the road, so you just go with that. You just look for teams in the trend. So this is from 09. Basically, let's see. Tampa Bay's 9-2 as a road dog. Frisco's 7-0 as a road dog. Atlanta 8-1 is a home favorite. Philly 6-1 is a road favorite. They enjoy that role. Washington is 8-1 as a road dog. They were 8-0 and should have covered against the Lions. How they lost that game was like a college game where the guy gets sacked and fumbled, and the guy, why he ran it in for a touchdown is beyond me. If he just falls on it, the game's over. Then you give him a kick return and an onside kick possibility. These guys just don't get it. Let's see where else. Dallas has absolutely no trends. Some other. Baltimore is very good as a home favorite, 8-2, and 8-2 as a road dog. Tennessee 7-1 as a road dog. New England and Indy are 10-2 as a home favorite, and Miami is a great road dog, 8-1, and very good as a home dog, 6-1. And Miami's terrible as a home favorite. If you go against them, there's a trend that goes back a few years. You go back to 05. And Miami's 19-2 if you play against them as a home favorite. So basically, you play the dog in the Miami games. What else? You got, excuse me for reading, but I can't possibly memorize all this. Kansas City 9-2 as a road dog. Seattle, I was going to play this week. 6-0 as a home dog just in the last 2 years, but with the quarterback out, Hasselbeck, I had to take the game off. They're a very strong home team, very strong home dog, but not when the guy's making his first start. I can't. I got to take it away. Detroit, if you play now, these are the play against. Detroit 11-1 is a road dog, and Carolina 7-0 against as a home favorite, and Phoenix 7-1 against as a home favorite. Pittsburgh 10-0 against as a home favorite. Cincinnati, the most surprising team. When they're a home favorite, they're terrible. 7-0 against. Miami, I talked to you about. Jacksonville 6-0 against.